Good. Coach, do you have a sense of this team any more than anyone you started out with in the new year?
It's another new team. I'm still trying to figure out. I'm trying not to get too much anxiety about how we're going to have to play, because until I get on the court, I'm not. We'll do some things, and whatever works, we run with.
Yeah, how much have you learned from the past 3 years about how to mesh star freshmen into an effective game?
Well, what I've said to you guys before, if I have my choice between experience and talent, I'm going to take talent. And this is a talented group. I don't know how talented until we start playing, but we got good size, we got length, we got some slashers, got a couple shooters. We were worried about our toughness a year ago, and I would tell you I'm a little worried about the toughness of this team based on the fact that, you have a couple guys, but you just don't have a, we were worried about it last year. I'm probably more worried this year.
Coach, I think you've addressed this the last day or two. Mr. Webster's one of the experienced players who've been back.
Yeah, I sat down with he and Ryan Harrow, and I told them they need to start working out together. They need to be in practice early together. They need to be in after practice together and kind of doing what Nowitzki and Steve Nash did, where they did their workouts together and they got real comfortable with each other on the court, especially late game. You're talking two guys that are going to have their hands on the ball a lot. And so we just had that talk about 5 days ago.
You talked a lot in the offseason about, talking to Joe B about using two big guys, trying to get some information about how you might go.
I sat out by his statue, and he and I talked a little bit. He wasn't real talkative. I didn't know. Usually he is. But I'm sorry.
What kinds of things have you picked up? What kinds of things might you experiment with those two guys?
I may stack them together, put them both on the same side of the court. May put them on the elbow. I'm gonna mess around. I don't know how much per game we'll play those two. I really have no idea. It may be 5 minutes, 15 minutes. What if they're both really good together? And then it may be 25 minutes. So I don't know yet, but we have some ideas, random pick and rolls and some different things we may try. But right now, the basics of the first week of practice will be what we're going to be a great defensive team. We're going to fly up and down the court. We're going to teach the dribble drive, attacking the basket. We're going to really zero in on rebounding, because I think that's one of the things this team should be good at and needs to be good at. Those kind of things.
Does it take a little bit more out of you, having 6, 7 new guys that you got to deal with every year instead of at least a couple guys coming back?
I wish I had the whole team come back every year. I wish I had teams for 3 and 4 years, but that's not the way it is. And I've talked enough about how I can't stand this one and done stuff, but it is what it is, and I'm not going to cheat the kids. I'm not going to have kids stay that need to leave, and if kids should stay and they choose to leave, that's their family's decision. I'm not going to argue that, and we just deal with what's left. It's funny, we've had kids leave every year, and our teams have been good, if not better. So they're chasing their dream, and it's not hurting us. And we had a 3.2 grade point average. We had 9 players over a B average last year. 9. Anthony Davis left with, what was his last term? 3.75. His last term. I mean, guys finished all their courses. Weren't internet or correspondence. They finished their courses. So it's not at the expense of academics. They're taking care of business. And
Coach, talk about your early schedule with Maryland and Duke on the road or neutral sites.
yeah, Maryland Duke to start. We could be 0-2, and I was with the guys at Wheelers, and I said, guys, we're rebuilding. How are you guys going to be? And and one guy says, we're with you, Coach, win or tie. We're right there with you. And then I said, well, what if we really start off slow? Are you still going to love me? They said, oh, man, come on. We're going to love you. We're going to miss you, but we're going to love you.
John, is winning a national championship change recruiting at all when you go out or anything different on that?
kids all want to win. The kids that want to win are the ones we're recruiting. Dwayne and I were talking about it this morning. Every group we've had has come in with the idea they want to win a championship. Whether it was John in that group, whether it was Brandon in that group, whether it's the group last year with Michael and those guys, they all talked. They wanted to win a championship. So what happens is we're a players first program. All of us, including Dwayne, and all our job is to care about those kids. It's players first. Their job is to care about winning championships. Our job is we're about them. Every decision we make is about them. And then their job is to go out and basically drag us where we're trying to go.
John, how would you compare the challenge here, each year, fashioning a new team with, at UMass, almost fashioning a program on a national scale?
Well, this is a much better program. I don't know what you mean by that, but I will tell you, what I would tell you is that this has made me a better coach. And I was just with Jim McCoy, whose father passed away last weekend, and I basically said, I apologize that I wasn't a better coach when I coached him. I was 28 years old, 29 years old. And I said to him, Jim, I wish I knew then what I know now about coaching and preparing young people, and I didn't. I mean, you were one of the first. And, his mother had a great, she grabbed me and said, people said, why would you send your son with a 28-year-old who's never coached? And she said, I looked him in the eye and said, because I trust him, which made me feel good. But the reality of it is I'm a better coach now because it's like a teacher having the same lesson plan for 12 years. Well, when I was at UMass, I'm going to be honest with you, 5 of those years, I had exactly the same lesson plan. We were going to play, and we won a lot of games and did a lot of good, and kids did good, but we could have done better. I mean, I could have coached better. No question that I could have been a better coach. And wish I would have been for those kids, but at that age, that was my background and my history.
When you talk about being a better coach, what's that number one thing in your list? Why are you a better coach?
I have more knowledge. I've been through more experiences. There's nothing a kid's going to do or say that I haven't seen. I know how to respond to it better. In a game, you have a better feel for all situations because there's probably, been up 9, 2 minutes to go and lose. There's not much I haven't seen in 20-some years. When Mrs. McCoy said to me, do you remember our home visit? That was 25 years ago. How am I going to remember that? She said, well, all you did was talk to me. I thought you were recruiting me and not my son. And I said, well, that hasn't changed in 25 years. That's still the same. But, and the game's different. I mean, we all grew up 5 passes, set screens. It's the motion game. And we're going to run motion offense. Well, everybody's now in the lane. You shoot jumpers, and the NBA's not doing it. Obviously, the game has changed and evolved. And it's no disrespect for anything, but it's just changed and evolved. And it's done at different times, and now the game has changed. The three-point line, when I was at UMass, my first couple years, there wasn't a three-point line. That's how long ago I coached. There wasn't. Jimmy's, maybe his senior year, it came in. The three-point line came in. But prior to that, there was none. So the game has evolved, and hopefully I'm learning. And you learn from players. Every player I've coached here, you learn different things from.
Any news on Maryland's for folks that are getting anxious about whether you're going to have them week, opening night?
Well, just so you know, our policy on any student athletes, we don't confirm academic eligibility until the first day of class or athletic eligibility until the first day of competition. So,
All right, now, do you mind me? He will practice, and if we played tomorrow, he would play. But I'm sticking to that policy. I'm not saying one word. That's my policy. I know some of you are angry right now, but that is my policy.
Carol, what is it that you think is the reason why you can communicate so well with today's athletes?
Well, tell them the truth. I'm not embellishing. We undersell. over-deliver. I'm not going to BS you. This is how it is. If you don't want this, then you don't come here. I'm not the only coach that can help you prepare for your dreams. This is what we do and how we do it. If you want this, it's a great place to go. If you don't want it, you need to go somewhere else. I mean, everybody says, Coach, we want you to keep it real. Keep it real. That's the, unless you're keeping it real with them, then they're not real happy. And so that's, the other one is I need 4 years to create a relationship. Well, my wife and I, we've been 26 years. I think we were about 4 months together, and I knew. I don't need 4 years with these guys. We create a relationship in a year or two. I tell you that, after that, they start disliking you, I think. I mean, so, we treat them right. It's about them. They know it's about them. There's no question. Last year, how did you get guys to play this way? They trusted that it was about them. So they shared their sacrifice. They shared sacrifice. From Anthony Davis, who shot 22 points the other day and looked in the camera, Coach Cal didn't let me do this. I mean, but he was our 5th shot taker. Or Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, or Darius Miller coming off the bench, who was undraftable as a junior and is draftable coming off the bench as a senior. They trust, we're going to do what you want because we know you care about us. This is not about you, Grand Poobah. It's not about, we'll care about winning, you care about us. And I've only known that way. I've coached that way and made it about kids, and it doesn't mean I don't scream and yell. Like somebody says, well, you can't really get on kids anymore. Yeah, you can, if they know you care about them. If they know it's about them, then they're going to, whatever you tell them to do, they'll do. Now, the question you have as a coach, this group will do, they're great kids. They're going to do whatever I ask them to do. Whatever I ask them to do, they'll do. I got to hope I'm asking them to do the right things. Like, they're going to do what we ask, so hopefully it's the right stuff.
When you received the Wooden Award, you put on DC Radio and talking about the advice Coach Wooden had given you about playing guys. Talk a little bit about that.
I called him in the 2010 season, and I had been in touch with him at different points in my career. And I said, are you watching my team? He said, yes, I am. And I said, I'm worried about this, that, and the other. And he said, Coach, look, bottom line is, and I know why you're doing it, but you play too many people. He said, we played 6 guys, maybe 7, and those other guys had to work their way in. You guys, because of transfers and all the other stuff, you don't play as many guys. Or you play more people, you're playing 10. And Jack Lehman from UMass used to tell me the same thing. You play too many guys. You're trying to play 10 guys because you want it to be about a system and how you play versus those kids. You got to play less and let them learn to play with each other. That's why we have 8 kids on scholarship. 9 kids, the most we'll ever have is 10 on scholarship. Now, I have scholarship for walk-ons. Well, we got 8 kids on scholarship this year. Next year, somebody called me and said, well, if all these kids come, I said, we'll have 8 or 9 on scholarship. If they all come, we're going to end up, these guys are going to do this, and these guys graduated, and we end up with a couple, and 5 come, we'll have 7 or 8 guys. But that was his comment when I talked to his daughter, Nan, about it. We were just at dinner. It was kind of neat.
What's the idea behind ESPN All Access special leagues that you have there?
Well, we said no. They approached us, and we said no for about a month. We didn't want to do it, and what? Do we really need more exposure? The one guy said, we'll help, this and this. What about your recruiting? I said, I don't think we need help. I think we're okay. And so what we talked about, one, I don't mind sharing. So you have a lot of guys that, and I'm not saying they're wrong, but I'm not sharing what I do with anybody. This is our secret. Well, I've never been that way in my life. If you walk in my practice, not you, because you're not allowed in there, but the other people that walk in my practice, I'm not hiding anything. I'm not embarrassed about how we do our jobs. I'm not embarrassed about our kids. I'm not embarrassed about how we coach. And look at me, I sleep good at night. I sleep like a baby at night. So I'm not worried about people being here. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, that's fine. So then it was like, okay, will it be good for our kids? Will it? And we decided, you know what? let them come in for a while and see how it plays out. And again, look, well, what if something happens? We got, people 24/7. How can I find, what can I do? How do I? Well, whether ESPN is here or not, if something happens, what? They'll be here in 2 hours. So I feel comfortable with what we're doing and how we do it. So we'll let it go. Everybody's going to be mad. I know. Maybe I did it. Did I do it because of that? Maybe just to aggravate people? Might have. Did we talk about? I may have said that. Let's aggravate everybody and do this. Because it really, for us, it's.
How much access do they have, like keeping up with the Caliparis?
They've been in my house, and they've been around my wife, which is really unusual. She's very private, a little bit. But my thing was I did not want this to be about me. I said from day one, they put out a press release that had my name in it 8 times, and we took them out. I don't want this to be. This is about this program, about these kids, about the staff. And people, what they want to see is, how in the world does he get a young group to play that hard and be that unselfish in that period of time? Is that right? Now, if you're not curious that way, it's just like you want to see nasty stuff. Well, fine, look at something else. But that's what I hope comes across. This is a good group of kids. They come together. They share they share sacrifice. They know they got to give up stuff. They work real hard. They go to class. They do what they're supposed to. Good kids who are good students and trying to chase their dreams under a magnifying glass that's like ridiculous.
Do you expect any of the Beckham, Hood, Olsen to get implemented?
I hope so. My hope would be that they get some time. But, that'll all play out.
How's your lesson plan different this year from last year?
The beginning will be the same, but after we get started, probably do more scrimmaging this year than I did a year ago, earlier. But I only normally I'll have 4 to 5 practices already planned. I got 2. And those are in pencil, let me put it that way. But I've got 2 planned. I like my team. I really do. I like what we are. Kyle Wilshire said he never thought he'd play on a team as close as last year's team. And now he's saying this team may be as close, if not closer than last year's team, which makes me feel good. I mean, that's the kind of, stepping in that you want to have.
Now, you were talking earlier about defense. When you're in the recruiting process, you're watching a kid or you're in the home, how can you sense that the kid's been able to play defense, been willing to play defense?
Well, you watch him, but I was just in a home last week, and I sat down, and I won't tell you if it was boys or boy, because I can't. There were 2 of them or 1, okay? But I sat down in that home, and I looked at that boy, and I said, I want to tell you, I've seen you guys play. I've seen you play and compete so hard that it's scary. And then I've also seen you where you act like it doesn't matter and you're just going through the motions. I want you to know in front of your family, that player will not be on my court. He will not play. The minute I see it, he's out. Do you guys do you understand that? I don't want phone calls. I want nothing. That's how it is. I mean, some of it's just coming in. The other thing is they recruit each other. All these kids, last year's team, they all talk to each other. It is a different time and age. If a coach is a jerk, they are texting each other that my coach is a jerk. He doesn't care about me. It's different. The 25-year-old model is out the window. It is. And you can't, if you promise everything and you don't follow through, that family's blogging that you said this, this, and this, and this, and this, and you didn't. That's why I said, I'm not going to tell you how many shots you're going to take, how many minutes starting. I can't tell you that. Just tell you our freshmen have done well. I can lead you in on that little secret. They've done fine. But I am not going to be in that. This is all exciting. I mean, think about it. I mean, it'd be boring to have the same team every year, I think. But we're coming in and have no idea. You know, I have in my mind things that I think will work, and they may or may not work. There may be things that they do. And just so you understand, the handoff stuff we started doing happened because Josh Harrelson popped out, grabbed the ball, and handed it to Brandon Knight, who made a shot. And it was not anything designed. And I said, oh my gosh, that looks good. And all these handoffs came from that play. There's a break-off play. He popped out, caught it squared up, handed off, and Brandon shot it. I said, man, I like that. So there'll be things that these guys show us. We may do it both elbows, two guys on the elbows. We may even go open the court wide open and have both bigs on the baseline 5 feet off the block. So now the court, think of the court now. You got wings wide, you got the baseline, and now when you drive, if you help, we throw lobs. You got both of them. You can throw a lob to either one, 7 foot, 6'11". There's all kind of stuff you can try. It's just what will work. And it's hard that you're going to be experimenting against Maryland and Duke, and you can go down twice. Take 2 L's and still be good. I mean, a couple years ago, we lost a bunch of league games, and everybody was in a full-blown panic, and I kept saying, I like my team, and we were a basket or two away from winning the national title in Houston.
You mentioned this summer trying to get that motor, the Michael Kidd-Gilchrist motor out of Alex Poitras. Can you see that?
It's getting better.
Out of him, or if it's not him, is there anybody else on this team that can be?
Archie right now is looking like more and more like out of the mold of DeAndre and Michael, who can guard 2 or 3 different positions. Alex, just trying to help him define his game, but he's a, you know, he's a wonderful kid. Thing that we've been working on him is he looks at his feet all the time. So my biggest thing is you don't look down. You're always looking up. We have lines on the wall in the practice court that if he's practicing, he does a drill, if his head goes down, I'm just yelling, head, 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 because it's a body language that he's not. He said, you know, I didn't even know I was doing it. Like make a play and then look down. Well, that zaps us energy. It zaps him of energy. And that's part of the reason I think there are times in the game that he didn't have the motor. Something that simple. But he's a great kid. Well, he's the most conscientious kid I've had since Brandon, who is where he's supposed to be on time, working the school done, all that stuff, and will help his teammates if they're lagging or any of that. He's really, really conscientious.
Coach, can you talk about Ryan being a part of the program last year and how that can help him contribute right off the bat?
Well, he's ahead of the game because he was here last year, but he didn't play. And so now the what I call the self-confidence, the self-esteem you build is through demonstrated performance. He's got to go in the game and perform. People are going to look at him and they're going to be real physical. If he can't play through that type of game, then we got to make decisions. How are we going to do this? Because that's how they're going to play him. I think he plays stronger than he looks. He's a skill. He's out of the mold of Brandon, but Brandon was just a crazy worker. Like 11 o'clock at night, he'd be in the gym. So he willed himself where, you know, Ryan's not that way. I'm not saying he doesn't work, but Brandon was off the charts. So he but they got the same body frame, you know, narrow shoulders, you know, and you look at him and say, wow, he's not, but he's skilled, he's fast, pretty good athlete.
What kind of a point guard is he as a point guard? You say he's, you know,
Well, out of the mold of Brandon.
just
Yeah, he can score the ball. He's skilled, you know, like Brandon was. He's becoming a good layup shooter, playing through bumps and getting it off the glass and throwing lobs and all that. He's getting better. But this process is going to be, in November, I need us to play like it's November. And then in December, let's play like it's December. I don't need us playing like it's March and November. We're not going to be that. And then when we hit February and March, let's play like we're in that month and maybe a little bit beyond, and then see what happens. I mean, I like my team. I like our size, you know, our skill set, you know.
Cal, has the ring changed you at all?
I don't think so. Has it changed me at all? You know, I'm trying to work harder. to show everybody, like Dwayne, quit going home at like 10 o'clock at night. That's crazy. But, you know, I just committed that I'm going to spend more time. I'm going to recruit harder than I've ever done. And with the ability for us to make phone calls and text now, I'm spending more time than I have in the last couple years at it. And I want everybody in my office, not by me saying it, just they look at the pace and say, man, you'd think he'd back up. Well, I'm trying to go harder to keep everybody around me just knowing, let's stay on our toes. You know, we made a lot of people happy around the country that we won. So let's stay on our toes and let's keep marching forward. We're going to take some, you know, some arrows and some bazooka shots, and let's just take them and move. My thing, again, I said this today. You know, Coach, they're you know, people this, that, and the other, and I just said, look, I'm not dealing with all that. So I'll say all to you guys here, which I've said, whatever you think I am, I agree. Now let me go coach my team. Is that easy enough?
Coach, just a follow-up to what Alan says, and I don't think anybody's surprised that you would try to take it in stride and go right back to work. But as a person, in your heart, you've accomplished something enormous that other people are talking about.
No, what I've accomplished is helping prepare, no, what I've done is helping prepare young people. This job I'm in now, I don't even think I'm in the basketball business anymore. I'm in the business of helping families. It's incredible. We've had 15 draft picks. We had 7 players draft. We're teaching people how to be men, how to be fathers, how to go on. Our kids have gone on and done well in a short period of time. And this Kentucky effect is there, and it's real. And so now you're in the business of helping families break generational cycles. We've had probably 45 to 50 kids get college degrees during my time as a head coach, and I'm guessing 80% of them are the first college educated in their families. You may say, well, how many of them are lawyers and doctors? Well, probably not many, but when I grew up, I was the first college educated in my family. I could not think about being a lawyer and doctor. I was going to be a high school coach, teach high school English. Now, then I went and did the college thing and then NBA, and they fired me, and I came back. But my daughter's going to be a doctor. In 2 years, Aaron will be a doctor. Well, that's how this is supposed to work. How about generational cycle of poverty? Senator Mitch McConnell said to me, how many are leaving last year? I said 6 more. He said, what? You're creating more millionaires than a Wall Street firm. And I went, wow, we are. And so when you say that to me, when I hug my wife, I'm saying, when I hugged her on the court, I said, now my friends and family don't have to argue, and we can get on the business of coaching young people. Because that's who that mattered more for my high school coach and my college coach. He should have won national titles at Memphis and Massachusetts. Everybody wins there. Why wasn't he winning national titles? This is the first. You're arguing stupid stuff. So now, before the game, they said, how's it feel to be known as the best coach never to win a national title? Like, is that a compliment, or is that, what is that? And then after the game, the guy came up and said, how's it feel to be the worst coach to ever win a national title?
Did anybody actually say that to you?
Cal, how do you deal,
Whatever you think I am, I am.
how do you deal with criticism that comes from outsiders? Do you have a
Can't.
particular way?
You can't. He'll tell you, I don't have a computer. I don't look at Twitter, Facebook, newspapers, nothing. If something's going on, I get up in the morning and I'm getting a coffee. I say, anything I got to deal with? And if it's something that I have to deal with, he tells me. And if it's not something I have to deal with, he doesn't tell me, and I go about my business. I have a sign on my wall, coach your team. My staff gets mad. How can they say this and this and that and that? What do you want them to say? We're getting the kids, we're winning every game, you're beating them on, what, are they going to have a party for you? They're not going to have a party for you. They're not going to be happy. So you're going to deal with that? Don't deal with it. I don't. Do I? Whatever you think I am, I agree.
John, what have you said to Nerlens for the
I worry about it. I worry about it because he's not Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is a once-in-a-10-year. He's just not. Anthony Davis was a skilled basketball player. Nerlens is a long, way more bouncy than Anthony and longer. But he's not Anthony. He's not. And we shouldn't expect it. Now, the same thing with Willie Cauley. Willie's bigger than both of them. Runs better than both of those guys. Nah, Anthony ran pretty fast. He and Anthony would be tie in a race. Yet he's not the basketball player that Anthony was. Neither one of those guys. But Alex is not Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. And Archie's totally different than Deron or Darius, totally different. And Ryan's totally different than Marcus Teague. They're all different. Now, Kyle Wilshire's just like Kyle Wilshire, but he got stronger. Legs are stronger, quicker, but he's pretty much the same. Other than Kyle Wilshire being like Kyle Wilshire, it's all different.
Are you more worried about Nerlens trying to be Anthony or just dealing with the heat that will come replacing Anthony?
Well, everybody's acting like he's Anthony right now, and he's going to come out and he's not going to be Anthony, and they're going to say, well, see, he went out to California, and they said, well, he's not as good as we thought. He's not that good. And so all of a sudden, he's, not that good. Now, by the end of the year, if things work out and he's drafted real high, they'll say, wow, he was one and done when he went there. He ain't getting better. Well, wait a minute, you just said he stunk. Yeah, just kidding. He's over here now. So I would tell you as the year goes on, he'll do his thing, but when you see him, you're going to compare him to Anthony in March, and it's not fair. Comparing this team to that team in March is not fair. They're not going to be. We're going to turn it over. We're going to get pushed around. Defensively, we're going to have breakdowns. Offensively, we're going to look like, what in the world are they doing? And it's going to be the process we go through.
John, when you're telling us all the things are going to be wrong in November, and you say you like your team, tell us why you do like your team.
Because I like what they'll look like in March in my mind right now, and it's the only thing I can live with right now. That I have a vision of what they're going to be in March, and that's what I try to drive them to. And I know it's like there, and we're right here, and I'm going to try to be as patient. I'm not the most patient guy, but I'm going to try to be as patient as I can to drag them along. We were patient last year with Marcus Teague. It paid off, didn't it? Because we had people say, you can't play him at point guard. Let somebody else be the point guard. He's not, da-da-da-da-da. And we let it go. And we said, we're sticking to this, and we're going to be patient with him, and we were. And by the end of the year, he was the best point guard, in my opinion.
Do you expect to play more zone this year? What's your lineup that you use with that?
Coach Hall's trying to get me to play a 1-3-1. And we're going to have to play some zone just because we'll have to play against it. And I thought of different things, but one of the things with those two big guys out there, what kind of zone can we play that would be effective with a 7-footer and a 6'11"? Can you put them both on the wings of a 1-3-1 and let those two be your wings? It'd be an awful big zone. But I don't know. I'm worried about us step slide, close out with your hand up. We're so. I told my staff, we got to start this season like they absolutely know nothing. Let's not take anything for granted, and that's what we'll do.
How do you balance that, the handful of veteran guys wanting to teach them some maybe more advanced stuff, and starting every year with so many guys that you have to really go to the basics?
What the guys that came back would tell the young guys is, you have not seen him yet. He's all friendly and happy-go-lucky. Wait till we start practicing, and then wait till it gets close to a game and the pressure's on. Then you're going to see a different animal. They've already told those guys. Right now, yeah, he's all happy and he's hugging you and all that. Wait till we start playing. You're going to see this other guy that you don't recognize right now. That's what they tell them. I mean, our guys are going to, whatever I ask them to do, they're going to do. I just have to make sure whatever we're asking them is the right thing. You talk about playing zone. If I choose to do that, I just hope it's the right thing. Or what kind of zone? We're going to change some different offenses. Well, let's hope it's right, because whatever I tell them to do, they'll do. I mean, we got a great group that understood coming here, hard deal. Tell us Coach, you got to tell us what you want us to do, and we're going to do it.
John, who'll be the
Two more questions.
Who do you think will be the vocal leader for you this year?
Maybe Archie, but he's not. He's quiet. Ryan and they're all quiet. I'm just telling you, we got a quiet team. Maybe the most quiet. Julius May's very steady and veteran, but he's not He's not saying a whole lot. So one of the things we'll do from day one is talking on offense, talking on defense, and we'll make them. And so that probably will evolve. But I hope we're a good team that talks, because we're going to need to.
Yeah, how much does placing so many players in the NBA and the success that you've had here and elsewhere help in terms of getting the guys to just listen, to take what you say as the truth?
Well, there's trust based on the fact that we didn't oversell and we didn't sell them a bill of goods. There's trust that we already told them it's going to be hard. It's not for everybody. You're not going to be the only guy shooting the ball, blah, blah, blah. Then the other side of it is there's trust in the results. You know, the thing of, why would you go down that path where everyone else goes? Blaze your own trail. Don't go down the path where everybody else is going. Why would you want to go where everybody's going? Well, you know, that path that everybody's going is a straight up and down hill where you're not promised anything. It's a lot of hard work. It's crazy. It's nuts. The fans are crazy. It's all nuts. But at the top, you can see what's there. Now, I don't know if you can do it, if you can work that hard like these other guys, but you see what's the result. And the one less taken, blazing that trail, it goes 2 steps, and they hand you a machete and say, go at it. You can do this. So I would just say, I'd rather go up this one that's straight up the hill, and you go that one, do the machete work, and then I'll follow after you, see what's there. Kids are seeing that there's results. So,
John, you talked about using Willie and Erlin's together to get Kyle, one of your best players, with 3 downs, 6-10?
if I did that, we'd have to play zone. Kyle would probably be the middle of the zone. Those 2 guys, the wings, because they're really active. They got quick feet. Kyle's in the middle, big at 6'10". You'd be 7 foot, 6'11", 6'10". But again, it'd be hard to practice against that because we'd have Tawny, John, Hood, and Jared be the front line of the other team. So I bet you it would look good, though.
Is that an issue for you when you've had this every year, but when you only have 6 or 7 guys that play, actually getting good practice work?
No, we don't practice long. I mean, our practice, again, I'm not saying this is the only way to do this. There are guys that practice 4 hours, and they win and they do well. We practice 2 hours. If I can't get it in 2 hours, then I didn't do my job. Going 4 hours is okay. I mean, there are some kids that need it, and there are some coaches that are more comfortable going long practices and the full 20. We have 20 hours to practice. We probably put in about 15 hours, maybe. I mean, we're not like our people, we have time in the bank. Is that like vacation time or anything that we can use? No? But we're not trying to, look, I need November to be November. I need December to be like December. I don't need to bulldoze, and we don't do it. So if you have 10 guys you're practicing with, 2 hours is plenty of time. If you have 15 or 16, you need 3 hours, 3.5. We don't practice with that many guys. Somebody says, well, what about injuries? Well, if the wrong guy is injured on any team, I don't care if they have 13 McDonald's All-Americans. North Carolina last year. They could have had anyone else injured except that point guard. The minute he went down, they were finished. And they had 12 McDonald's All-Americans on the team. Fab Melo goes down at Syracuse. Anyone else could have been out at Syracuse, and Syracuse would have been in that Final Four. He goes down, different. And the same with us. I mean, we'll be watching, and if we're looking, if something happens to Anthony Davis, we're done. When the Baylor thing happened, his knee and all that, believe me, I went over there like, you're all right, come on, kid, get up. And I'm like, please get up. Please get up. Come on, mama's boy. And I was sick to my stomach, believe me when I tell you. So, all right, thanks, guys.